In the previous video, I disconnected the shift cables and removed the shifter from the car. In this video, I continue the work to swap in an O2J shifter. So now I am going to remove, I believe they call that the shift tower. But I have to disconnect this, which I think is the reverse switch. Let me switch to my strong hand. And I will free this wire. And I don't think there is anything else holding it down other than the bolts. So there's a bolt there and then a bolt just through there that I need to remove. So that's what I'm going to do. Trying not to knock it into gear while I disconnect it. All right, that's one, and let's see if I can get at the other one. So I'm gonna put the socket on top of it and snake the extension through here. And does that work? That does work. Get on there. All right. That's it. All right, with the bolts out, it should come out. But at the junkyard, it was hard. So let's see if I can get it out. I may have to pry it. So I'm gonna try something different than what I did at the junkyard. You see that little spot there that juts out on the shift tower? We're gonna access that from below. Okay, that spot is right here. So what I'm going to try and do is put a chisel there and hammer the bottom up to see if I can free it. See if I can get a better angle for you guys. All right, that is not the best angle, but it should get the point across. And I did put on some safety glasses. So let's see if this will free it. This is an awkward angle. Yay! So I should be able to go up top and pull it out. All right, let's see, does it come right out? And it does. All right. There is the O2A shift tower out. Now, gotta remember that this is the way it's oriented because this is my first time doing this. And I'd hate to put the other one in the wrong way, if it can even go in the wrong way. So here's the one I just took out, and these are the two new ones. This is the one that I'm going to install because on this one, while I was taking it out at the junkyard, I broke that. So that's the one I'm going to install, but I am going to see if it's, yeah, I got some debris and stuff on it. I'm going to wipe it down a little bit. Actually, no, this stuff's coming off pretty easily. Actually, there's no debris, just the old oil. And there was a little debris on the outside, but I got it all out. So, let's go drop it in. All right, let's put this one in. But you see this notch here, right there? That must line up with the notch on the transmission. So hopefully it goes in smooth. All right, so it's in there. All right, next put the top part on and the cables. It helps that I have a whole other tower to look at, so I know how things go back together. But it probably will only go back together one way. So now I have to take this part off of the lower part and This nut was only on hand tight, but I do need to take the cables off. And just spin this off. And it is kind of a snug fit if I remember correctly, but it should come out. There we go. And this will only go on one way because there is a little notch. So I'm gonna go put it on. Oh, and I'm gonna take this part too. This arm. And I think I'm missing a bushing on the other one, so I'm gonna take, they'll come out. Anyway, I'm gonna get these bushings out real quick. All right. So I'm gonna put this back on, and in here, there is one that is double notched, corresponds to a double notch that is on here, so it only slide on one way. And I think the double notch is on this side. So I found it on here, and I think that's it. So I'm gonna put the nut on. I'm just gonna screw it down until it stops. I don't wanna move the gear too much. All right, and I'm gonna put this back on. And it only goes back on in one way that makes sense, because this needs to slot into that. So I think it goes like that. Oh crap, yeah, I got the other bushings. Let me put those on right quick. When I took it apart, I forgot about these bushings. So I'll put these in, one on each side. Okay, so here's a closer look at what I just did. The bushings went in on that side and that side, and I slid the rod through, put the little clip on, and now everything on this side is connected except for the cables. And that little switch down there. It's a different type of plug, but I did get the pigtail from the junkyard, so I'll be able to swap it over. So I'm gonna take the clips off of this bracket, install this bracket, and then get up under the car and snake them through. And for these, you just pull them down, and there's a way to lock them. Which way do you turn it? Anyway, it comes off. See which way it locks it? I don't remember. Oh, I was missing it. You turn it down and lock it like that. Let me show you. When it's unlocked, if you turn to the right, you see that there's like a little upside down L right there, and it goes around that little, you can see a little peg in there. So when you want to lock it, push it down and put the peg into the L. But anyway, now this bracket is free, and I can go put it in the car. And this bracket will live, it'll live right there when it's all said and done. So the bracket is now back home. I repositioned the hydraulic line, and the clip that was on the other bracket that I wasn't sure was on this one has been replaced by this plastic piece that will hold this here. So we're good to go. So now I am back under the car, and it's time to snake the cables forward and try and put the shift box back up through the hole. So here we go. I'm really kind of pushing the cables blind now. They seem to be going somewhere. I'll push them through and see if I can see them from the engine bay. And then I'll position them and then do the rest. Oh, never mind. Looking kind of good. All right. So it is back in there. Let me get these bolts Got it. So the shift cables are not where they need to go, but the shift box is. I got the bolts started, so I'm gonna go up top and see if I can tighten them down and pull the cables through. Once I got back up top to the engine bay, I located the cables and pulled them through. Now I'm gonna stick them through the bracket. So this cable will go through that hole, and this cable will go through that hole. And then I'll put the clips on, and what else? Fasten the shift box on the top side, and I think I'll be ready to connect it to the shift tower. All right, so now I'm gonna tighten down the bracket. Put the little wire back in its little clip. And wow. Oh, I'm gonna go do the inside real quick. So now I am going to put these back on the cable ends, and I have them both locked open now. So I'll put it on, and that's one. And that's the other. So now I can, oh crap. I got lucky and put the right ones on the right size, but they're different size holes in them. I got lucky. I did it kind of blind. There. And there we go. So now I need to put this boot back on. Yeah, so now the shift linkage is swapped. So now I'm going to adjust the cables and all these instructions. And this is where I started to have problems. The shifter wouldn't move smoothly, so I did some troubleshooting, and this is what I found. To make a long story short, the shifter I put in, it was hanging up, it was binding. I tried to adjust it and it just wouldn't work. So I took it out and I figured out the problem. This is after I've cleaned it. I probably should have took a picture beforehand, but it didn't allow things to move freely. You see that? All that rust in there on those little bearings? There was way more than that before. So I'm cleaning it up and I'm going to lube it and see if I can get it working. I did not plan for this. So on the one where I broke the lever, that little bearing guide works perfectly. But on that one, it gets stuck. So I'm gonna see if I can swap this one onto that one, because the area with the lever on this one is broken and the area with the lever on that one is different. See the plastics around, and that goes straight through metal. So I'm gonna try and see if I can get this in there. I learn something new every time I work on this car. So, after trying to understand how these things work, I was able to push the broken, I guess, homing lever out of one of the shift tower tops. So maybe I can just use this one with the intact lever. I may be shooting myself in the foot here, but I'm gonna give it a shot. So as it turns out, I did not have to change the little bearings on the inside because I was able to push the new lever in, and let's see, it works as it should. So I'm going to put everything back together and see if I can go through the gears properly now. So now I'm going to adjust the cables according to the Diesel Geek's instructions. That little black lever there needs to be pointed straight up. You'll be able to insert it and turn it straight up, and that will lock this into position. You may have to jiggle this down a little bit such that it goes all the way in. But once it does go in, that is what it will look like. Then I'm going to compress these and lock them into place like I showed you earlier. That's one and the other one. So now I'm going to go into the cabin. Now he recommends a 5mm drill bit or the dowel that he includes in his kits, but I found this to be about the same size. So now I'm going to lock the shifter in place and make sure it goes all the way in this part, like that. So now I'm going to pull all the slack out of the cable, pulling the cable that way, and then release the spring adjustments. So I'll pull that way and release it and make sure it locks all the way back. And same thing on this one. So there we go. I am happy to say that everything is back together now, and it feels a lot better than the old shifter. But I'm going to give it some time and see if the occasional grind going into first gear is gone now. Nevertheless, I'll keep this channel updated with whatever I do with the shifter. And if you'd like to follow along as I do other things on my Mark IV Golf, hit subscribe. And if you'd like to see the things I've already done, check out my playlist. Thanks for watching. Take care.